Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, I hear you.
Great. Welcome, entrepreneurs. Apologies for that. I don't know what happened with us. I'm trying to make Denise a co-host. It's not going through. Okay, now it did go through. Okay, great. I don't know what happened. Zoom is not allowing us to get in, but Zoom is actually active and working. We're gonna sort it out afterwards. However, we need to move on because we have quite a lot to discuss today. What I also just need to highlight that there is a platform that we have shared with you where you can actually read other business models of how other businesses or under industry are actually have mapped themselves up in terms of business model if you are still confused. The more you read business models of companies that you already know, it assists you to see how would it actually work. So for example, you will maybe do one which is Twitter or Facebook or Google or Apple business model. You will actually then get to understand how they run their business model, but also where do they leverage? Where do they get their edge or competitive edge, which is generally, for example, Apple, it will be technology wise and loyalty. That's what they sell. So once you are using Apple, you never use anything else. So that will be what they are selling. But that is outside of the product, right? It's really about when you look at your value proposition, you have to understand what is it that I'm selling. So if you are selling stuff like food, which is not necessarily healthy, you will then be selling pleasure. So even your advert and how you position yourself, how you then have your words that you use, you will then have to use pleasure as your earmark on how then you're gonna execute. So there are several ways you can do it, but what I just want to highlight, having a strategy in terms of being clear what you want to do has to be supported also by a very clear marketing plan. I will cover a few of the items and ideas and also direct to some content on marketing. I will do that as a separate audio or recording so that I don't clutter a lot of information to you. So that is what we're going to be doing today. We are going through the summary of what we've covered yesterday, but also get your views of what you got from yesterday. And then we go on today with the aim that we will then have an idea of where we're going to start and where do most entrepreneurs make mistakes when they're actually doing this one-page strategy. And that is what we're going to be working on today. Vincent, you are having a load shedding at 5. Please make sure that you sign the attendance register before you get logged out. And if there's anyone who has a problem, please DM Denise so that we can make notes of the reasons why you are not with us. Members, just remember, entrepreneurs, we have to keep the attendance at least at 8 for EPI to issue the certificate of attendance. But also, you have to finish what you start. Remember, that is one of the things we said we're gonna need to have a character on. Finish what we start, no matter how difficult it gets, because that's the characteristics that we're gonna build. And thank you so much for being here today. I do not wanna go and check in. I only check in on groups. So for today, I'm just gonna go straight into yesterday's revision and allow you to raise your hand or write on the chat box on what you actually did learn from yesterday. Please, let's just share. What did you learn? What did you pick up? Try to focus on the concepts because we are going to use this concept to do the application when we're doing a group sessions. It's just understanding the concept and these words, but also relate them to your industry, relate them to your market. And that's the point of for today. So those who were here, what did you learn? Please share with the group. Denise, what happened if someone had forgot to sign the attendance register yesterday?
It's fine. I did take physical attendance as well. So.
Oh, okay. So Denise does have a backup, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Entrepreneurs, you should always do your attendance register. Actually, you should be reminding me, right? Because we need to be accountable to each other. Okay, great. What did we learn yesterday? Who's brave?
Good afternoon, SSP, and good afternoon, entrepreneurs, colleagues, friends, and associates.
Hi, Tennyson, how are you?
I'm brave, thank you. And how are you, sis?
I like that, I'm brave. I love that. I have a client who always say, I am blessed and highly favored. So that I also like. Great, I'm glad you're here. What can you share that you learned? What are the concepts that you think you can use and apply in your new business or in the ideas that you're working on or even in current operations?
I think for me, there is 3 lessons that I took from yesterday. One is accepting and loving and understanding the space I'm in today. Respecting and accepting that the space I'm in today, whether it was coincidental that I ended up as an entrepreneur or whatever the reasons were, the fact is I am here and I'm here on for a long term. So whatever other ideas or thoughts or whatever I have, I need to then push them aside and work at what I have now to make sure that it becomes a success. Some of us have been through a number of businesses. We failed, we succeeded, we're still going through transformation. But I think accepting where you are at that particular time and embracing that, it makes the journey even easier. Commitment and showing up all the time is the second part that I learned. As I said, this is a long-term journey for me. So one has got to find that inner strength to show up. Yes, ideally you want to say every day, but not all days are the same. But 90% of the time, you need to keep your positivity and try and show up all the time. There is no other alternative. So you can't show up next door and today or tomorrow you show up wherever. This is it. There is no other. That is the second part that I've learned. The third part is whatever you have decided on as your business, stick with it and explore all avenues to maximize the revenue from that. The words that I think we use is extrapolate value through multi-platforms. It's not about your multi-products, which is where I think a lot of people try to maximize the revenue, but it's actually more the multi-platform whilst doing this very same thing that you want to be known at, to be good at. That is your brand, that is your product, and that is you. That is your life. Thank you.
Great. Yep. That is good. Thank you so much for sharing. So you are in this for a long haul. So there is no quitting, right? Number 2, show up 90% of the time. At best, target 100%, but you know you're more likely to be at 90%. But make that to be part of who you are. Rather bend the bridge. Have no plan B, because a plan B sometimes give you what you call it, a backdoor to quit. So just bend the bridge. Rather, and others they will say, bend the ship, so that you can never leave the island, right? So there are people who have taken this into extra extra mile. When someone resigning from a job, they put their feet on the table of the boss and say, I'm quitting and starting a business. Just like really tormenting the boss and stuff, so that the relationship is so bad. But I do not recommend you to do that. Everything that you do should always be professional. So yes, burn the bridges, but not in terms of relationships, but in terms of you not giving yourself an option or an exit strategy. And then maximizing the value and make sure that your aim as a small business, it has to be increasing the quantity so that you can build up a market share. The reason why we don't count in industries that we're in is because the volumes that we're selling has no voice. And that is why I generally say to entrepreneurs, you will rather partner with someone whom you're gonna add up another business and another business to then with the aim of getting in and then compete with big businesses. So, and that is important. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially Black entrepreneurs, we hold on to just ownership. An ownership of 0 is still a 0. An ownership of 100% is still a 0. I would rather own a 1% of a billion than owning 100% of nothing. We all having different skill and different approaches. We need to figure out how to work together so that we can build businesses that last. You can't have a chair in a table when you have nothing to bring, when your contribution does not count. So how are you going to build yourself and make sure your contribution count? You're going to build yourself up. You're going to work on the weaknesses that you've picked up, and you're going to work on the things that you think can work and start sharing with others so that we can work and collaborate together to make this work. Remember, you are not going to do this by yourself. There is plus or minus 15 skills, guys. Some of you are not even aware. Plus or minus 15 skills that you at least must be aware of. At least you must be comfortable to discuss with a service provider, but or at least have some sort of a knowledge of what they mean for your business. And there is just not enough time, not enough time and expertise that you can accumulate within a very short space of time. So really think very hard when you are starting a business in understanding that you are not going to do this by yourself. So figure out what are the strategies that you can build, what are the partners that you can build, and how you bring those partners. Remember, you can bring different partners playing different roles, having different remuneration or reward system. You don't need to actually reward people based on shareholding. If you don't want them to have shareholding, you don't need to reward people with salaries if they have not demonstrated a value to you. You can make different arrangements based on what you stand for. Just remember though, people buy you. They will buy you first before they buy your product. Okay, there are few people that have showed up, but before I show their hands, I'm gonna go to questions or comments. But they say there is a lot of unprotected IP on the business model. Yes, so business model is not necessarily an IP, Mpande, it's how the business operates. Please note, 100% of businesses that are listed companies that whether in South Africa or anywhere in the stock exchange in the world, you can easily work out their business model by just reading their financial statement and their annual report and going through the system. So to find a right business model for an organization is very easy. The aim though is not to copy the business model, because a business model is a response to the economical environment, it's a response to the market, the industry, it's a response to that locality based on the target market. Remember, you have to know what works for your customers to then create the right business model that suits that customer. Okay, Crisenda say hi. Lessons from yesterday. I have learned to make I've learned that to make sure that when you want to grow your revenue and expand your product, don't add a product that is not going to increase your profit. Focus on product or service that you have more customer, and look at which area you are running your location that is right for that customer. Absolutely. So angeke uyodayisa amagwinya eSandton, because people baseSandton babheka amafigure. That is why when you're in Sandton, there's more healthy and gym places than in most other areas. Why? Because that type of market will not buy amagwinya. So you have to make sure that you customize your product for the target market that you have. Okay, Pamela said, own a share in the market and build a monopoly. Indeed, Pamela, you really, and building a monopoly does not really even means at the country level. You can even start in your local municipality right now and own a market share, 100 market share. I promise you, just in your local, you can build up a monopoly by being the best in one or two things, not a lot of things. Don't expand too fast to a point that you're unable to build that market share. So I'm gonna take Utabiso and then Uspelele. Tabiso, please come through.
The last three comments have literally taken away everything that was a takeout for me. I missed a big chunk of the session yesterday because I was gallivanting, but that for me was critical about focusing on what is that strength of your product at that point in time and literally milking it. And then only gradually, after you've done whatever the period is that you feel where you've saturated yourself and perhaps even the product and the market, then introduce other new things or different aspects of that. For me, that was the biggest takeout.
Perfect. So, and you are allowed to expand or to cross-sell your offering to the current customers, especially when your nature of your product is once-off. So let me make an example. Tabiso, you're the one who has done a children's book, right?
Yes.
Great. So because the nature of a children's book, once the child has a book and has read the book, the chances are they're not going to read it again. Maybe after 2 or 3 years, then they will read it again. So, which means by nature, your product is a once-off. Do you realize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Because your product is a once-off, which means you're then going to need to ask yourself, which product that are complementary to the book? That is why I said to you, especially with something like a content for you, it will mean maybe you create some sort of a series of some sort of a cartoon, right? And the child that has read a book can actually now, or that has bought a book, can actually even download the app or have a membership, because you want to capture that customer, right? A membership of different other topics on your content that you would like to cover. And then you can also think about, okay, maybe I can work with someone who's a game designer, who can actually then create a game around these topics that I want to teach the kids. Do you understand what I mean? But guess what? You're still selling the product. All you're doing now is that the book was the entry into that market, was the entry to that customer. But as you're going up, it's almost like it's a funnel. You keep on increasing the value because obviously that person being now subscribed into the smaller group also means, or even assessing a game means that you can now do a subscription and cover a number of range without having to physically sell the books. But the book basically has introduced the way of thinking or the way of solving these problems that you are solving that affect the kids in the group that you are targeting.
So this is so affirming because we're working, there's a song that I use when I do the presentations at the school for the kids, and it's an interactive program, a 20-minute interactive program using the music and using dance, and we're busy developing an app as the second phase, as you're saying. So that's affirming. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I am saying, entrepreneurs, be mindful on the nature of your product, whether it's a once-off or it's a product that I'm gonna need to buy all the time, which then talks to the regular. So, but again, let's talk maybe another example. Let's guys share some of your businesses and industries so that I can use some of those examples. Okay, great, Tabi. So thank you for sharing. Spelele, Ziband.
Hi, this is Precious. How are you?
Ngiyaphila. Abakabani abantu bani?
Sihlobene nabakwaMdluli kodwa isithakazelo omdlanyoka.
Mdluli, ngiyabazi abakamdluli. Okay, great, Spelele.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. So there are two things. One is from a session that we've had before. The follow-up you gave me, because remember we had a potential what was it? Conflict of interest, because our if you remember.
Yes.
You said the follow-up was to write to Denise and tell her about it so that you guys can then work it out. And yes, I did that. I wrote to Denise, but I didn't get a response.
Okay, Denise will only be able to respond when we have finished with the program. But I have noted your names, Pelele. Denise, also please do, so that we can follow up after the program.
But if it's only after the program, then which means I cannot, then my coaching sessions will not always be as fruitful, because I want to be able to apply what you are coaching as I'm going and as I'm preparing to.
So when you submit the assignment, we do review it and provide a feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
All right.
asked to
okay, that's fine.
Right.
Okay, so that I'll get that out of the way. The one thing that I want to ask, the second part, is the fact that when you are talking about owning 100% of zero is still zero. It has come to my realization over the last few years, because of very little to no business, that it eventually becomes worthless to own 100% of zero income. So, and my question has always been or has been in that, how do we emotionally and psychologically divorce ourselves from our baby, to be able to freely say, okay, to be able to partner with you? If you are asking, for example, if I were to partner with you, Precious, and you're asking for 30% shareholding in the company, and then someone else comes, they are investing R1 million and they say they want 30%. Someone else comes and says and makes an investment and injects another amount of money. How do I psych myself emotionally and psychologically to be okay with the fact that you are most likely losing control over the business, but you are making money? I just want to know, how do you strike that balance? Because I feel like a lot of us struggle with that, trying to let go of 100%, which is worth zero, as opposed to owning 10%, which is worth 20 million.
So I think that the first part is your why, Pelel. Why are you in this business? Are you in a business of building a businesses that last, or are you in a business, Yamaspaza shop, or are you in a business of building or macro? Which is it?
So to answer your question directly, the idea and the vision is to build a sustainable business that I may be able to leave or hand down to people that are younger than me in my family
Fair
or
enough.
my children. So
Guess what?
this
Even if you own a 1% on that billion, you will still leave them with something. Actually,
I
you
think-
will leave them with something that is big. So the way okay, first of all, I've never been a person who's too controlling in terms of feeling I need to own 100% of something. That is why maybe it's easier for me to share. I grew up where we were eating in one big bowl and we're all eating in one big bowl. I also know that I might have spent most of my life as a student of business. I still don't know much. Therefore, there is not enough number of hours and days to help me to operate at the level of the goals I have, to operate at the level of billionaire kind of thinking or multimillionaire kind of thinking. Therefore, I don't mind letting go of the control if I get someone who's aligned to my goals. However, the goals and what I want have to also be aligned to certain code of conduct, certain characteristics. So I will not just say yes to someone because our goals are aligned. I will also say yes because even our professional code is aligned. So the picture therefore is bigger than just money. The picture is bigger than just about me owning a percentage of something. Is owning something which I know I can be proud of, but it's sustainable enough to then have a value in the long term. I think you also need to ask yourself, based on your experience or even your local experience, how many small businesses in your area that have shut down that were run by one-man show? In the book, I shared a story of Mama Dlamini, I think that was in step 4, who was selling amagwinya in our high school at Amakola High School, Snating, where I went to high school. By 4 o'clock, Mam Dlamini wayesebuye eThawini. She was already coming back from town because amagwinya akhe aphele ngo-10 o'clock in the morning. Besingafuni besithi siyodla laba abanye sesothenga kulaba abanye ingoba asephelile Mam Dlamini. Was Mam Dlamini an attuned businesswoman? And I mean, she was a full 100% breadwinner in her own home for her daughters. Beautiful home right next to the school. But when she died, her business died with her. Even when her daughters tried, it just didn't work. The recipe was not right. The taste of amagwinya was not right. We ended up moving and buying amagwinya in our time and using it, or also buying kota or something like that. Now, if Mama Dlamini was an attuned businesswoman, what she should have done was to make sure with her business, the processes and system are documented, the recipes, the temperatures, the mixing of lamagwi is done correct and right. And it can be replicated. Number two, she should have also made sure that in her family, somebody, or in her close, or it doesn't have to be a family, even close people that she worked with, because there were days when she will not be there and somebody else was selling. Whoever that was selling should have been her succession planning. But bigger than that, she lost an opportunity. She should have actually made sure she does amagwinya that will last until 4 in the afternoon when we leave, and own the whole market so that the other guys don't need to actually sell amagwinya, because she was the best at it. Why would you leave work when amagwinya sephelile ngo-10? You should be making double that. So if when I'm at 10 o'clock it's 10, which means get break when amagwinya sephelile, what's going to happen to lunch? What's going to happen to the mid-break? She didn't see this as an opportunity to sell lunch. Mid-break, she was already coming back. Siyaphuma ngabo 4 because our school had after classes. By 4 o'clock, usabuye eTown to buy the stuff for the following day. When she should have focused on maximizing on her popularity of the product to increase the market share, and also make sure that she has processes to keep consistent on her quality. So it's about the mindset. I want to have a growth mindset. I don't want to have a poverty mindset. A poverty mindset means I must be in control. And that is why, as Black leaders, power really gets us crazy. Whereas in essence, power means nothing if you cannot have the value, cannot extract value. Because all control is power, but it's like a delusion to think that power and control will give you value. Whereas if you think it doesn't give me value, then you're not going to hold on to it. So you really have to look at yourself in the mirror. What matters to you? The control, what does that control mean? Power. Power to do what exactly? What does that mean for you? And make a decision. I think there is also, in most instances, what we call a poverty mindset that sometimes become a residual to us on how we make decisions. Because you see, when you have a poverty mindset, you don't have an abundance mindset. You don't believe there's enough for everyone. And that is why other Black leaders actually end up looting. That's why other leaders end up stealing, because somehow they have a feeling that it's not enough for everyone. So I will really, if I was someone who was stuck on the losing control versus joining up people, really work on Millionaire Mind. I mean, you can find a lot of information. Tihav Heka will assist with that, who is one of my coaches. But I will also work on thinking in abundance. Think in abundance. Think in understanding and knowing that there is enough for all of us. And that enough of all of us, we can all be rich if we let go. Yes, there are challenges to do that, because there are people out there that will actually eat you alive in terms of not being honest, in terms of people stealing from you and all that. But then you put processes and systems, but then you also associate with people that you know what they stand for, whether there's a checkbook or no checkbook. You know, one of the things Oprah said, that I would rather have a friend who will actually go with me in a cab or in a taxi or in a bus than a friend whom will only love me or be with me when I'm taking a limousine. Do you understand what I mean? And that is what I'm talking about. Choose people based on the values. But for you to select or know which value is aligned to you, You have to know who you are and what you stand for. And from there, I promise you, you will start attracting the right people. There will be people, bad people sneaking in now and then, but you will need to hold them accountable. You will also need to listen to your own energy, your consciousness around it. And sometimes as people, we don't listen to that inner voice telling us, giving us our yellow flags on things. And that is why sometimes when someone, my business failed, then I will say, okay, what is it that you didn't see that you should have seen coming, that you didn't watch for? What are the things that you didn't do that you should have done? Because until you have done that reassessment, you will then not learn. I honestly believe we're gonna need to take chances on ourselves as Black people. We're gonna need to trust each other, but for us to trust each other, we have to trust ourselves that we're gonna do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to make sure our goals, the things that we wanna do are aligned, to make sure that this generation that we have, our own children, don't go through the same thing we have gone through. So I don't have a short answer, Spelele, but it's a whole lot of issues. We can have another session where we do I share certain things of what got me not to have, what helped me to deal with my poverty mindset, what helped me to let go of certain things that initially I really had felt strongly about. What happened when I started doing that. I mean, the arrangements that I have with other people, in most instances, they might even take even a bigger share than my share. But as long as I do not feel undervalued, I would be fine with it. So yeah, we can talk about this topic as a separate topic, is Peled. I don't know if there's people who have a similar view that this poverty mindset, the control versus power versus your bank account, literally, really hinders us in achieving what God has meant for us. Yeah. I don't know if that would be fine with everyone.
Can I just add one quick point on Spelele's question?
Yes, sure, go ahead. Oh, before you go, Tennyson, let me have Spelele so that I can make notes. Spelele, what do you think? I know I have so many answers around this. You always catch me off guard. What do you think about what I've provided, but also to say we need to actually work on it?
The thing is, maybe I'm very much, I think if you'll remember, I specifically did say that I'm very intentional about growing my business. And I did say that I do not have a spaza shop mentality about it. I remember explaining to you that it is initially it was just a construction company, but I know that when I say construction company, it was just going to provide the services of construction because predominantly that's what I've been doing over the years. But I did say also that my interest, there is some people I'm trying to bring from Joburg that are coming to manufacture. They're coming to manufacture in ABTs, and that's where our conflict of interest arose. Because you are busy with UJ and whatnot. So by no means do I have a spaza shop mentality, but I don't know if I'm manifesting from a poverty mindset as I approach my business. And that's what maybe we may need to unpack so that I fully understand my position and my approach to things. But I think that's what I'll say just in response for now.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. So yeah, okay. So I'm happy that at least that part is sorted. So what maybe we need to be discussing is that what decisions are difficult for you to make in terms of shareholding, because maybe there's a possibility that you are struggling with the technicality of how then do I share on this pie. Spelen?
Yes, I'm here.
The question is, are you then struggling on how then do you share on the pie?
I would say in terms of understanding, I'm not struggling, but my question was really, and I specified that it was about how to emotionally and psychologically detach myself from from the idea that you know, I need to let go of shareholding in order to make room for capital investment.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that's where my real issue is there. And someone just wrote about trust issues in the chat box. It just popped up. And
yeah,
I would admit that there's a huge chunk of that, but that does not come
strongly as a
it doesn't
reason.
come as an there's a reason behind trust issues. You know, when you've tried so many times with so many different people to partner with them on different ventures, and people just keep letting you down. So then it
Hang
becomes
on, Spelen, when you select
Yes.
people, did you have a clear checklist of who you will say yes to, who you will say no to?
I think you've mentioned that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Uguti, when you partner with people, there's a checklist you go through. But I think I make the mistake of thinking, because we have a rapport in terms of the things that we want to achieve, we have a common understanding of our plight as Black people and the desire to root ourselves out of that, and perhaps just getting along on many other things, then I perhaps may use that as a as a reason why maybe we should go into partnership. But very soon, once you are investing yourselves in that, then people disappear or start acting funny, and then it amounts to nothing, which is then why you end up deciding, I'm going to go at this alone.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it starts off.
So Spelele, just to make sure that we are on the same page. So
right.
You have created this generic rapport with the person,
Right.
but they have not yet proven themselves. And you actually then get into this relationship, right?
Right.
My suggestion will be reflect on every relationship you've had, on what went wrong, and also what can you learn from it. Because, you know, the way the universe works, it's so cruel. You get tested on the same issue until you get the lesson.
Yeah. Yes. I've learned that. Yes.
So then it means for every experience you have, whether good or bad, reflect on it. What can I learn from it? What is it that I didn't see that was an indication that I should have seen, I should have known? What is it that I didn't listen to? Guys, hey, even the walls talk. Even a paper talks when you are really listening. Because everything is energy. So my suggestion would be reflect, and then also put measures that people have to prove to you first before you get into a long relationship with them. Also have cool-off periods, which could be 3 to 6 months. And in that arrangement, talk about the exit strategy from day one. Okay, if things don't work out, how would we do it so that we don't waste each other's time? I hope that will give you some hints to start working on, but we will still have the session maybe just to say what are the things to work on emotionally. I do believe though, the things that we feel emotionally are the things that we think. So and how we think comes from our beliefs. You might have, because you have done this, you've tried so many people, you now have a belief that it's difficult to find the right partners. Remember,
Right.
your life reflects the beliefs you have. That's all what life is. So if you don't like what the story of your life is about, you then have to work on changing your beliefs.
Okay.
I'm throwing you in the past now.
Yeah, you are.
Great.
Yeah,
Tennessee, did you want to add?
Sissy, you've consumed me. Yeah, the part I wanted to add to earlier on Spelele's question, but I think over time you've gone into deeper dimensions. I was going to say there's a mathematical part in terms of the shareholding. What we don't do, so Spelele earlier on started with a person who invests $1 million and then they wanted 30%. And then another one comes and then they want 30%. So what I was going to say, mathematically, after the first investment, Spelele, you need to reevaluate the company. So the next million is no longer equal to a 30% because the company has grown by $1 million plus. Therefore, the next million is probably only worth 20 or 15% because the company is no longer X, but it is X plus $1 million plus the new revenue. But I think you guys have gone even deeper than just talking about the numbers only in terms of how to let go.
Great.
The last part for me in terms of bringing other people is when you realize as a one-man show that you no longer have a life because you work 15 hours, 17 hours, but you still are not achieving something. That's when you realize that bringing somebody in frees you both physically and emotionally, but then that leads to the next thing. Yeah, I ran for 2 years on my own and I did hit burnout until I learned to share.
Okay.
About exit strategies, I don't know if ever they work at all times. I wish Umshato now had ama exit strategies, but hey, we're not here for Barry Patel.
But it's really about, you see, this is what I say to partners. I say, if I can argue with my husband, I can argue with my children about things, surely I am going to argue with you. There is no doubt about that. But we need to figure out a way on when we have a disagreement, which disagreements are we willing to tolerate and which disagreements that we cannot tolerate, we need to walk away. And that has to be upfront. And when that is not upfront, we then are having a problem because it's just a matter of time before a problem arises. Guys, there are no relationships where there will not be a disagreement. I don't care what type of relationships they are. There are no relationships that they won't have disagreements. Even relationships which are not closed, they're just generic, like a student to a tutor. You could have a disagreement with me on something, but does that break the relationship in a point that you say, Usis Precious or Precious Kulmega, I'm no longer going to attend. And I think sometimes with us as Black people, because we do not like the confrontation, we then run away quick. And I don't understand where this comes from. I think also we just don't want to rock the boat or don't put people in an uncomfortable position, because we don't like an uncomfortable position. We then portray that on others. So, and I really wish we can be very transparent and honest and straightforward. And sometimes you could be seen as someone who's cruel. You could also be seen as someone maybe who's too assertive. But a person rather know where you stand and what you stand for, especially when they're your partners. Crescenda, please come through.
Hi, sis Precious.
Yes, I'm here. Your line is quite bad though.
Is it better now?
Yeah, way better now.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, because as I was listening, I think Spelelo to come with that a question, because it's really helping as I was listening, as you responding to him. I think my biggest reason why we end up losing in the previous company is because of that of wanting to be the having a power, one man owning 0%, 100% zero. But we came across that, okay, we did a lot of mistakes, okay, partnering without having a written lawfully, anything that can bind between the two parties. It was just a verbal, and then more trusting people without written agreement. So as you were explaining to him, actually, I wanted to come and ask you advice, because I'm about to enter in partnership of joint venture. So like you were explaining, it's better to own a 1% of a million than own 100% of zero. Okay. So the advice that I want to get from you is that tomorrow we will be having a Zoom meeting with these two parties that they propose that we must come and join venture due to I have full compliance, and they don't have compliance, but they having an experience, a capitally, they are fine. So my fear, it was, okay, I experienced what happened previously in our business. Now the fear is that I don't want to experience that, but now at least my eyes is open that everything, it must be written. Okay, we signed the agreement, joint venture agreement. Now they already apply the CIPRO certificate and the tax clearance and everything. Now, yes, there will always be that selfishness of wanting to steal in the nice way. So when they send me a document from the bank that, okay, we must sign as a parties. So I went through the document, because before I used to just to put my signature without reading. That was the biggest mistake, trust people. So I went through the document, and then it was reflecting the red, you understand? So I thought to myself, but these people, they cannot expect us to sign without having us meeting with us, the resolution minutes meeting, and then they decided everything, and then they want us just to put a signature because of a BEE. So I talked to the lady, I say, you know what, I am not happy with this document. I went through the document, but I am not happy. So, and then I showed her the reasons, and then she was coming with a story. You know, the white people they will come with a story always. No, I'm not perfect in that. Then I will let this person to phone you, and then so that he can iron the issues. I said, okay, no, perfect. So this morning we've talked, and then I've showed them the reasons why I am not going to be able to sign it until they can explain to me. And then the guy, he just saying, you know, forgive me, because yes, I did it the wrong thing. Actually, I was supposed to call the meeting with you guys, and then we agree. And then I was saying to him, okay, no, I understand, but I was just want to be clear, because remember, the moment when I'm going to put my signature, I'm binding myself. It will backfire back to me again. And I say, no, it's not a problem. Everything, it can be changed, because I was emphasizing in the thing that he will be the one person that is going to have access in the bank account. So I didn't agree with that. I said, no, it's impossible, because we are three parties here. All of us, we can have access, even though we're not going to authorize and whatever, but access to see what is coming in and out in the bank. And the agreement in the joint venture, we agreed that he will be the one who loading the payment. I will be the one authorizing. So I say, let's be honest with each other before we go far. Okay, then he said, okay, let's make a Zoom meeting tomorrow so that we can start seeing, and then even the appointment. And I said to him that you must remember, we are different people, getting in married. So when we're getting in married, we need to trust one another. So the thing that I want us to do, let's understand that you were a legal advisor and general manager in your company. Now we're coming with JV. So it's a new company that the rules will not be exactly as your company or my company. He said, no, okay, let's have a meeting tomorrow and then let's discuss and let's see how we're going to handle things, because what you say is right. So, and then I've realized, okay, they were taking an advantage. Actually, they wanted to see, oh, it's a black woman. She's just going to put the signature and not reading. So actually, I want you to advise me. Tomorrow, we're having a Zoom meeting with them. Firstly, okay, I already raised the issue of the bank account. So as the three companies coming together doing joint venture, yes, of course, it's a million tender, that one we joining venture. So the percentage, I am not so worried about the percentage, because what they give me is better than being 100% and having 0%.
Okay.
Profit. So
thank you so much, Christina. Let me just outline a few things. So
okay.
the first part, when it comes to finances, it's really, it is about a bank account, but it's bigger than the bank account. So the first thing, when I'm having a meeting with anyone, I will work out an agenda item, right?
Okay.
I will say, okay, today we're having a meeting about bank account, but the bank account is just a final transaction. Well, let's just talk about financial management on our JV. Let's go to the agreement. What does our agreement say when it comes to financial management? Number two, within financial management, there has to be something which we call financial planning, which basically is budgets. So you're not going to just release money and approve money or authorize the money. That money that you are releasing must be aligned to the budget. If the budget is not available, then all three parties have to agree on those items before they are paid or before the service is actually ordered.
Okay.
Number two, when you are actually, before you release the money, you have to check whether we have the money in the bank. That is one part, but another part, do we have a budget? Do we, in that line item, that thing that we are paying, if it's under cleaning services, is that cleaning services, have we used, we're still within the budget? Because if we are not within the budget, then it has to go through the same process as though this is a new item. Why you want to manage it that way is that if bank account is the last straw, issues of control start from managing the expenditures. Again, I will pay attention to our JV in terms of, is it a JV that we are sharing profits or we're sharing revenue? What are we sharing in this?
Okay, we will be sharing the profit.
Great. Therefore, if you're going to share the profit, you're also going to need to actually make sure that you actually appoint an independent accountant.
Yes.
I accountant abezenai. I-accountant any tole through your own system yen. Or you can say,
yes.
I have another accountant, we have an accountant, let's compare the notes, who and what system they are using. Now,
Yes.
independent accountant is also going to help you to track the expenditure versus the budget, but also they will make sure that the profits that you actually are talking about that you'll be getting, you're getting your fair share. It's not personal expenditures that are actually being put through on the accounts.
Oh, okay.
The last part that I need you to also be mindful of is that as you become comfortable, and I can hear you, you're almost like a different crescendo compared to the one when we're doing compliance. And I am so proud. I mean, I was seeing the hearts from other entrepreneurs saying they love what you're doing. You are applying what you're learning. We're really proud of you.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
need to appreciate our value and our worth. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to focus on the things that matter. The things that matter is, guys, yes, today we're going to talk about the bank account, but we need to talk about the bigger picture within financial management. Who's responsible for that? How are we going to appoint the independent accountant? How are we going to make sure that the money that we are spending is within what has been approved? And that is important.
Okay.
Yes.
We can actually work out, guys. Maybe you can DM Denise all your challenges with your previous partnerships that you've had. We can run a separate workshop, a webinar where we're talking about failed partnership. You also sharing what did you learn and what else you should have done better. But you have to go back and reflect. With you, Crescenda, you did say before, previous you had partners which you didn't put things in writing. But what you now need to do to grow from this is that the things that are in writing must actually be enforced. And two, you must monitor the agreement. You must monitor the agreement. But the last thing, not everything is going to be in writing. Then it means when you have meetings between the three parties, someone must take the minutes. Someone on the next meeting you guys going to have, you must approve the previous minutes. You must agree on the resolutions.
Yes.
Okay, my dear.
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
you're on the way.
so much. Thank you.
You're on the way. Great. Okay, I'm so proud of you. And all of you guys are really working and applying yourself on these things and really looking at what works, what doesn't, but also reflect what are the mistakes I made. Just remember what I said. The universe is going to keep on testing you on the same issue because you're not learning. So reflecting is important. Okay, guys, today. So on, okay, I'm gonna just, I have so many notes. I don't even know how to start. Okay, the most important part is we've already covered the business model. We've already looked at your strength. You already looked at your weaknesses. What you should also be doing is review your business model against your SWOT analysis. What does this mean? It means you're gonna look at the key partners. Are they presenting any weaknesses? Maybe you have high reliance on them, which then means maybe you need a secondary partner instead of relying on only one part. So you could also ask yourself, okay, that partner has a monopoly in that industry. Maybe I need to figure out how I can build up a network that allows me to manage him should he actually increase the price. Activities, the things that the partners are doing or we are doing needs to actually then come in. You have to focus on the thing that matters the most. Again, ask yourself, in doing what you are doing, what matters the most? What is the thing that is just about you that makes you to be so special? Look at that strength again and ask yourself, am I focusing on the thing that I specialize in? Am I focusing on the thing that I want to be known for? And consistently also be renovative in looking at that value proposition. I did share with you guys that looking at the value proposition canvas help you to analyze the real value in what you're actually providing. Understand what you are selling sells both emotion, functionality, features, sells a whole lot of things. Understand that. And as I said earlier, I will run another audio video where I am sharing the marketing, how you will then take a product and do a value chain, a value proposition canvas. From that value proposition canvas, feature that into how then do you position yourself, how then do you market yourself, and how then do you build it up so that even just selling one thing like a cookie can actually, you can be a multimillionaire in almost anything, as long as you decide to be the best in what you actually are doing. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you specifically also, just to close off on yesterday. Now, you now have worked out the top 3 opportunities that we usually call the low-hanging fruits, because those are the ones we think in the next 12 months, you know what, I've got this one. So maybe share your industry and share opportunities, then I can use some of this as an example. I saw that someone shared on the group about that they are in, hang on, I saw that they said they are in, oops. I did see they said something. Okay, hang on, let me go through some of the comments because I think I've missed quite a lot. Okay, this person said Crescenda is in waste management and recycling. Okay, but it's still Crescenda, so maybe I will skip her because she's already had an opportunity to find other people. Zaziwe say, customize your product or service that you are selling for your target market. Yes, Zaziwe. Product must be communicated clear and understood by the customer to own the market share. Yes. Also pitch the idea that does not matter if I don't have a customer. Absolutely. You could have the best product, but it means nothing if you don't have customers. Great. Thank you so much, Zazura. Those are the great lessons we learned yesterday. And then Boiti said, I realized that in some instances, it is trust issues. Okay, that was for Spelele. And then also some partnerships are premature. And I've been there, and some are out of selfish ambitions. Boito, reflection. What does that mean then going forward? What will that mean in future? Okay, Tabitha said, Sis Precious, I love the idea of separating session on power dynamics, ownership, passing down, the information for foundation of general creation. That will be, yeah, to outlive our businesses, indeed. What Sis Precious shared on the orientation was spot on. You have to have a checklist. Sometimes our risk factors are not the same. That is what I've learned in my failed partnership, different expectation. But that means we also need to improve our communication and not be afraid to voice our views, because your partners are not let you down on that day. They let you down over a period of time. Okay. Tabisa said, meant to write. Okay, we got it. Generational with. Great. Okay. 976, and I'm gonna quote this very long time. This is Precious. The world is cruel. The universe tests you until you get the lesson. Of course, that was from Reginald. Spare thanks, Tyson. Tyson say, yeah, thank you. And then I know I have trust issues myself based on the failed relationship. Great. Boy, please go back and reflect. What did you learn from each of those relationships, and what do you need to work on? Remember, you are not a victim. You are part of that mess yourself. You created that failed relationship. Therefore, you also own the part of why that partnership failed. Boy, Uyangis?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And then, in fact, I'm having a same argument with an Indian colleague of mine about vocalizing your thought immediately without fear. Great. Thank you. And you do it with absolutely respect to voice your views. Do it with absolutely respect. That is why values are important. Okay, awesome strategy, Crescenda. You got them right at the beginning. Don't lose the focus, Chris. But that's nice. Thank you, Reginald, for that. Great indeed, Crescendas from Spelele. Links, okay. Fail partnership really cost us so many levels apart from financial. That is true, Spelele. It almost like they take something away from me each time when they break down. But I also say the relationships, there are relationships that were meant just to teach you a lesson and be out of your life, but there are ones that they were also meant for you to change certain things. What do you think needs to be changed? And how can we build ourselves around that? There is billions of people in the world. I think we as Black people can find people that we can work with, but we will only do that when we actually are first ourselves, we trust ourselves, and two, we actually are clear who we are, what values we stand for, and which values we will not stand. And that is what matters. So if I meet with Pelel, I know what I'm getting in. What he's saying is what he means. He's 100% guy. If we had agreed on something, he doesn't go back and then come back with stories. And that is what we need to build. And I think the entrepreneurs that are currently in this platform right now, you have that. You are putting through your time. We are attending these sessions like we are so proud of you. And I think that is a beginning of building a character. Even when it's hard, I think, Vincent, you thought you won't be here because of the load shedding. I think ESCOM hasn't cut off, you are still here, but you are accountable. You guys are sending apologies to Dennis. No, I'm running late or I'm this. That is accountability. We are already doing it. When you're coming in, you're coming late and you apologize. That is accountability. And I think my job is done. My job is done. That's all we needed. The world needed you to show up. Don't just show up for yourself, but show up for all the entrepreneurs, because when you fail, they then say the failure rate of entrepreneurs is this percentage. They include all of us because that percentage is worked on the total population. Does that make sense, guys? Are you with me? Okay, let's move. Now,
Yes, we are with you.
great. I'm gonna just share a screen so that I can work on the technicalities of the balance scorecard. Now, who has never heard about a balance scorecard? This was the first time they heard about it. Let me have a show of hands or in the chat box. How many people? How many people? Okay, Chrisanda, Gidiboni. Oh, it's not a lot of people. Spelele, you've never heard about balance scorecard?
No, maybe I'm not even sure what it is at this point in time. Maybe I have an
you
idea.
didn't
I
prepare.
don't.
You didn't prepare. Okay, no problem. I know some of you need booze. That's fine. As long as you are present, I don't mind when you have not managed to go through your stuff, your material. It's just that I didn't want to repeat myself because there is a recording that I already done where I was explaining these things. So, and guys, I also did not touch every tool is used on strategy. And one of the nicest tool in understanding your market and your industry is Porter's 5 forces. So please have a look at that also. I have made the notes for you. Okay, I'm gonna just share the screen. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. Oh, okay. Mpande is saying it's also news to you. Okay, which means you guys did not prepare. Okay, but don't stress. Okay, so guys, just make sure before you attend a session, just listen to the audio and download the material, run through it. You don't need to know every word. Just let this discussion or this presentation that I will make on the day not to be the first time you are hearing it, so that you hear this stuff being discussed in practicality in the group, at least for the third time, please. Okay. There is more than, I think, close to what? More than 50 tools that get used in strategy. And as far as I'm concerned, the best tools are about 4, I think. Number 1, PESTEL. Number 2, Porter forces. Number 3, SWOT analysis. Number 4, balance scorecard, a framework, because these are the methodology on how to extract information. And the last one is, the 5th one, is a business model. But the business model basically is summarizing all these items and helping you to position yourself. But it also allows you to really be clear, what value am I selling? Who am I selling it to? Who's the key person or key supplier or partner? And how do I manage this key partner in terms of activities? But also, what are the costs and the revenues that I'm making from this business? And what type of revenues and what type of cost am I actually having? So it basically then the business model is basically giving you a business plan. Okay. However, that high level business plan, it's telling you of what it is within the market, but it does not tell you how you're gonna do things. It's just giving you a map on what is it that you're gonna be doing and who you're gonna be working with, what is gonna be your cost structure, what will be your revenue structure or different types of revenue. And that's it. But it doesn't tell you how are you going to attack the market, which then talks to a strategy, that one page, where we will then use a balance scorecard. So what is the balance scorecard? A balance scorecard is really about taking 4 components of the business. You take your vision and your mission, and then you align it in understanding this mission and vision is a high level. So mission and vision and strategic themes or output results is really high level elements of what is it that we want to achieve. And then the lower level is strategic objectives relating to financial, internal business, learning and growth, and also customers. But within the balance scorecard, we also will have, under learning and growth, we will call that organizational development. So under internal business, it can also be business processes. So you really just those words that we use interchangeably. So what are we doing when we're doing this? We basically want to have the business into 4 boxes. These 4 boxes are feeding to one another. So obviously for finance, that is your ultimate goal, is to maximize your shareholders or your investors' equity. The main objective, that is why you want to be in the business. Guys, if you are in a business not to maximize revenue or increase the value of the business, then you shouldn't be here. Number 2, it's really also about you have to, that comes from custom. You gotta need to achieve that financial goals based on or maximizing that return, because you are looking after your customer. And how you want to appear to your customer, it's important, right? Okay, let me make this like this so that you guys can see better. Great. So, and then you also have to make sure that your organizational capacity, which is learning and growth, can actually achieve that. We have an ability to actually change and improve how we deliver what we deliver for our customer so that we generate and we are sustainable. And to do that, we will also need to know what processes and systems that we must excel at. What are the things that will make our customer happy, our shareholder happy, our investor happy? What are those processes that we must excel in? So they all feed from one to another. But how they feed, they really are integral, starting from that organizational capacity. So organizational capacity is also learning and growth. It starts with knowing, okay, now this is the business model I have designed for this business. This is the best way of me being in this industry. And based on the success of other business models that I've analyzed in my industry, this will work. Great. Now the next question is going to be, what are the skills that I need to have to actually achieve these goals, to execute this business model? What skill set do I need? And what processes do I need to have to manage so that I actually have the customers and I can satisfy these customers, and these customers will see me as a leader in my industry and as the only option? And how will that then feed into my financial goals and objectives? Entrepreneurs, I've shared with you the KPIs, which are now the measures. The KPI are the measures on how we're going to measure our performance on these 4 themes or 4 areas when it comes to perspective in terms of the balanced scorecard. So understand that the measures are helping us to track the performance, whereas the target is a desired level of performance for each measure. Then the initiatives are basically projects that we're going to actually execute to make sure that we achieve the objective that we've set. Let me take comments and questions for now. Okay, so there is quite a few people that were seeing this for the first time. Okay, great. No, that is fine. Don't stress about it. You will understand. But let me stop here from what I've explained so far, just to take your comments on, do you understand how it all fits together? I've just explained the concept, entrepreneurs. Please come through so that I don't just run. Remember, no one shall be left behind. Yeah, it's so quiet.
Sis Precious,
Yes.
at high level, I get the idea, but perhaps what I still need to do, because I have not looked at this, I need to sit down, have a look at it, and then
I will make examples for us. Remember, the purpose of us having this group session is to discuss concept in a theory way, but then put them in some practical sense so that you can go back and work on it and then apply it in your business. Then we have a group coaching session where you are sharing those things, and then I help and direct to make sure that you come out okay. Is that okay? Can I make examples?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so, oh, Boitu said, no, I have seen this before while I was still in corporate. I guess you saw it, but you had no idea what that meant, but that's okay. And then Tabiso said, we put this in a context of an example. Great, Tabiso, let me do that. Okay, so you have your mission, you have your vision, and you have your values, which will create what? The culture in your organization. You can decide in the first 3 years, maybe you're gonna focus on a specific theme of what is the biggest success that you want, or you can put it in terms of the results. Generally, we say to entrepreneurs in the first 3 years of your business, it's really about establishing and having a feel of the market. It's getting the information on the market so that you can refine your product, so your product development. So what does that mean? It then means in the first maybe 3 years, you have to, by the 3rd year, you must have come up with at least 2 or 3 best products that actually will then build, you will then build on as your foundation. Now, or build a brand. It can be just a brand or brands, but about 3 brands, right? So let's say you have worked out those strategic themes. You want to have a well-known brand, whatever that brand is. You then have to ask yourself, what are the skills do I need to execute this brand? And what processes do I need to have in place? And how would I look on my customers? How I want my customer to feel and think about what I offer and what financial value do I actually need? Okay. So let's put maybe, I'm gonna find a good example here. I'm gonna just, I've made few notes. Give me a second. Okay, great. So let's make a practical example in relation to the recycled business. Chrysanda, you have shared that your business does recycling, waste management.
Yes.
Okay, so that's your product, that is what your service or product?
Service and product.
Service and product, great. Okay, this service and product, what does it do? What is the name of the service and product? Give me one.
Okay, all right, the service, we give waste management. Okay, that's the service. And then out of waste management, we get the product.
When you say waste service, waste management service, I don't understand. What do we do? Explain what do you do. What are your key activities?
We're removing the waste, minimizing waste and removal.
We remove removal of waste. What type of waste is it? Health related, household, industrial, what type of waste is it? Okay, I've lost Chrysanda. I need someone who has a stable network.
Yeah, I think the problem is the network.
Yeah,
yes, we're doing the removal of waste.
Yeah, but you didn't hear my question and I need to move fast so that I can take that information and apply to what we're doing. Let me find somebody else, Chrysanda. Who else would like to share their business? Guys, please share your business. How no one wants to share their business. I need to use an example, a real life example.
Okay, for me, Sis Pratas, I'm manufacturing leather bags.
Okay,
so
great.
I don't know.
Great. So it doesn't matter what product is it. So leather bags. Okay, so in terms of your the leather bags, what do you think is the most important skill that you need to have?
It's mostly the designing skill.
So
The
design,
cutting of the, yes, and pattern making.
and pattern making, plus craftsmanship.
Yes.
Okay, those are your 3 critical skills.
Yes.
Okay. The product that you have pitched, that you the leather bag, if you were to put it in a store where there is high end, medium, and low end, where does your product fit?
I think it's from medium to high end.
It's medium to high end. So your bag price will range from what price? What price is that?
It's from 400 Rand upwards.
A leather bag, yeah, 400 Rand.
Yes, we're talking about, you know, your small cell phone pouch.
Oh,
They
okay.
sell a lot. They start there ranging from 300 upwards.
Okay, okay. So because of the size, okay, because my
Yes.
leather bags, they start from 3,000 Rand. So I was like, no, that
I must
can't.
start making your customizing your own bags then.
Oh, I love leather bags. Oh, I have so many that needs repair and polishing and repainting. So yeah, maybe you will start with that job first. Okay. Okay, so it's from 400 Rand up to how much? What's your maximum? What is the highest price you have offered on the
The highest price is 3.5, which is a traveling bag.
Okay, 3.5. Great. Okay. So definitely you are right, but there is a little bit of low end in this. I think your product falls between the low end and a medium. I would say products that are less than 2,000 Rand, they will be under low end, and then above 2,000 will then be on the medium size.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so with these products, you then need to ask yourself, based on how you have positioned yourself in this leather making business, where do you get most of your demand?
Most of my demand come from the belts, actually, the belts.
So
I sell more
make
belts.
belts, and then you sell belts. And what are the price range for your belts?
They start from 250 Rand.
Oh my goodness, who is pricing your products?
I'm new in the game, so my strategy is I need to attract customers. I know out there they charge an arm and a leg, but cost-wise, my operational cost, I am able to cover it.
Okay, let me share something with you.
Okay.
The product you are selling, my dear, is a lifestyle product. Do you know that?
Yes. Yes.
So because it's a lifestyle product, how you position it matters. How you position it matters. The fact that you are selling a belt got 250, which means you will attract people who can only afford a belt got 250. I think you need to relook at how you have positioned your product. You are in a retail space. You can choose the market based on the development of your product. When you are still trying, you are still new. Yes, I understand. But be careful that you don't stay too long on the low end, that you end up undervaluing your product. As far as I'm concerned, a leather belt, a real smooth leather belt, can be even 500 Rand.
Yes.
which is double the price that you are charging.
True.
Because this is a lifetime investment. So I think you are devaluing what you're doing. So maybe because you are feeling you need more customers, you don't understand that more customers also mean you are now moving away from lifestyle product. When people should be coming to you to order a specialized belt in a signature name yabo la. And that is how you should be looking at this. And then charging them accordingly. Okay. And that you will have pitched it then at the right price. You shouldn't then worry about the price. What about quality, the design, the craftsmanship, the specialization, which is now customizing. Guys, what I've just done, I have picked up her business model is not right, and then try to change it so that she pitches this in this. So maybe, yes, you have these to produce, you also need to have marketing skills. That is your learning and growth, the things that you need to prioritize in your learning. Now, on design and pattern and craftsmanship, are these outsourced or are these in-house?
They are all in-house.
They are all in-house. Okay, great. Okay, so you have them in-house. What you then need to ask yourself, if that person gets sick, do I have a second person to assist me? So that is one thing. So you're gonna, one of your objective is what? Develop succession planning.
Okay.
What is succession planning, entrepreneurs? Is making sure that all key positions for these key skills that we have identified, they have someone who's secondary. The person does not need to be within the organization. They can even be out of the organization. Number two is also to have or attend a marketing and branding course.
Okay.
So that you understand how to pitch your product at the right level and charge what will not devalue what you're doing, i.e. charge 500 Rand. So this will help you with your positioning. This will also help. So it's attend the course and also get a marketing coach who comes from your industry.
Okay.
Are you precious? Or precious are consultants. You're gonna go to a retailer who actually has done brand positioning, who actually understand how your retail space work.
Okay.
And that will help you with positioning. Based on that, those are your what? Those are your learning and growth. Those are your organizational capacities in strategic objectives. We now need to make them to be measurable. We're now gonna need to be making them measurable, the key performance indicators. How would you know that you have a succession planning in place? The good thing, the plan once it must be implemented. So implemented succession plan, that will be your measure, that will be your key indicator within the next 12 months, which will also mean memorandum of understanding, memorandum of incorporation, of understanding, and also service level agreement if they are service providers.
Okay.
That is on succession planning. Number two, on your strategic objectives within learning and growth will be to actually attend and execute a branding and marketing strategy once you have attended the course. So once you have attended the course, your output, your key performance indicator will be what? Marketing and branding strategy. That will be your output, of which you will implement within 6 months or whatever, because now you're going to put timelines.
Okay.
You put timelines on your initiatives. I will show you how just now. And you, by the way, you have this, guys, on your notes. So that is what you will need to work on. That will then lead to the processes. Okay, if this is what's going to help me to actually deal with the risks that have been identified and weaknesses that have been identified based on your SWOT, because if you may hear me, what I've said to you has been our positioning is not right, which means this is a weakness, this is a threat. We have a strength because we do have these. However, we don't have plan B should these don't work, right? So now we have put strategies to make sure they will actually assist and make sure we're sustainable. Then what processes do we need to make sure we master, we excel in? So processes that we need to master and excel in is design and pattern and craftsmanship. So it's a quality control. So we start by one, look at our input. Number two, we look at our processes. Number three, we then look at our output. Within the internal processes, when we are talking about a business, internal business process. So what do I mean when I say input? What you're going to look at is the input. What we excel in is influence about what we get in our processes. So what are the things that we get in? We get raw material of leather, right?
Yes,
We
yes.
need to know and understand what type of leather do we say yes to in terms of our raw materials, how we select our raw materials, how we select accessories that we are using is also going to be the key. Who are we procuring it and how do we check quality of those things and what guarantees exist in those things that we are buying? That is now our input. Now our processes. When we are doing a design, what quality control and measures do we take when we're doing the patterns and the craftsmanship? Those processes from the beginning till the end. At the end, how do we make sure that this is a quality product? Do we test it? Do we check it? How do we check it? And that is now going to talk to our output. You see, on processes, it could even be when we have designed it and done the pattern, and it also then means how we're branding it, how we are actually making sure our bag is properly lined. It could be a whole list of things, but there's the things that we excel in. So that will be in our input and processes. We then need to ask ourselves, okay, we have sorted out the machines, we've sorted out the how we're going to do these things. How are we going to make sure that there's proper supervision? How are we going to make sure that there is proper management? We can add that also on our processes. For example, we'll say bags that are designed, these are designed, they will need maybe CEO sign off for quality control. They will need staff. So you just need to, based on the value, on the input you have made and the time in terms of the cost. Maybe also in your processes, the things that you're going to build to excel in is making sure that you have price correct your product. So which means you're going to improve your measures in terms of building up processes on your cost. Because guys, you cannot price your product properly if you cannot cost properly. So maybe that could be one of the internal processes. Remember, I don't know what is your SWOT analysis. I will only be working out based on what you've told me so far. So you might actually work out more. Avoid though having too many things that you are working on because this is the next 12 months. Then we move on to custom. You now have defined your customer profile. We have said a person who buys a leather bag shouldn't be someone who's willing to spend 250. We want a person who's willing to spend how much? 500. You prescribe this person. You see which alternative brands they are using. You see how they have positioned. You then ask yourself, okay, how should we appear to this customer? We must be reliable. We must actually be people that they know they're buying an investment. They're not just buying a leather belt that's gonna look nice, but they will never need to buy another 2 or 3 belts by just buying the real thing. So what you are selling here, you are selling a value of a lifetime value. That is how we want to appear to our customer. So what does that mean in terms of our tone? What does that mean in terms of our advertising, but also talking to that positioning? So what are the objectives that we can work on? We can work on the objectives, for example, on customers being aware that we are selling the stuff. Okay, awareness. From awareness, customer acquisition. And you also can have customer retention. Customer retention is going to have different strategies based on those objectives. So maybe on customer awareness, you are running maybe partnership brands, the other brands within your market that you have identified other designers, and maybe that awareness they will actually just acknowledge that the belt is from so and so. So that is also awareness. But also you could run an ad that just say we sell this belt, and you show them and so on. So the awareness is really a customer becoming aware that you actually do this. There's so many things you can do on awareness. You can just Google it and say customer awareness strategies, but make sure the strategies that you choose are aligned to your industry. And I can't tell you that because I'm not from your industry, and that is why you need to have that branding course with the coach. But once you have done that, you can then also then have another strategy on customer acquisition. How are we going to acquire customers based on the channels that we have identified? Remember, if you're in the retail space, you don't need to only use your platform to sell your product. You can actually sell your product in other people's platforms. So find out other designers, other entrepreneurs, other marketplace to then sell your product in there. So that will maybe add 5 more channels to sell our product. So that will be under what? Customer acquisition and customer reach. How will that then feed into our financial goals? Based on how many customers we said we wanted to have, and because we know what our conversion rate is, we can then estimately be able to say, okay, when it comes to finance, we can then be able to increase our revenue by this much. We will have a profit of this much.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. The only challenge that I have with within the industry is that mostly it's dominated by white people. And
Nango-ke ngikhuluma noba.
Aski
Hloniphani. Hloni, sena sami. You don't care about who's dominating. You come up with something that is unique, that is just about you. You stop competing with big guys. Stop competing with China. Stop competing with well-established guys. Design your own thing.
No, I'm talking about getting a coach, in the industry. It's a bit difficult because the people in the industry mostly it's mostly.
It will be difficult, but you keep looking. You'll find someone who will say yes. You don't let that stop you. There's thousands of courses that you can start doing online. There's millions of coaches because there's even places where they do mentoring for free in different industries. Use the internet. Use the internet. I promise you. You found this program that I'm running. I know there's a retail program somewhere in the world right now running. So look for it. Keep on looking for it. Remember, things are difficult when they have not become in your awareness. Now you're aware of what you need and what you want. When you're clear about what you want, the universe is going to provide the solution.
True.
But you didn't that didn't appear to you before because you didn't see it as the reasons why you will need this reach in terms of your growth.
Yeah, true. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there's lots of comments. Okay. Okay, I think others are putting their comments now because they can see the value you are getting. Ashlon, let me just see. Okay, Tabiso, I say put in the context. Tabiso, are you covered? Are you covered? Tabis, the example that I've used. Utabis, did we lose Utabis? Maybe the network. Okay, Chris and okay. Boyd, so will the description of what is low and high end be for all industries? No, Boyd. This is relating to the type of product that is in leather. Okay, this is just relating to product that are in leather. The high and low in terms of perishable products or goods, it's a different ball game altogether. Okay. Shonipani has just shared. Okay, great. Yes, there's so many platforms, even not just to take a lot, there's so many places. There's so many marketplaces to sell a product. Mahletse said, thank you for the information. Okay, guys, there's no one who has a question on this. Can I take questions? Guys, I've covered a principle and I've covered the example, and I need to take questions now, please. Yes, Tabi.
So, Sis P, when it comes to the issue of just marketing and the whole ownership, for instance, with the book, I've tried to look at your spaces like your Amazons, talking with distributors like Work Exclusives. And the dilemma becomes, do I then perhaps sacrifice perhaps the profitability aspect of it now to rather have them take 40% and perhaps they sell the book at a higher price, or go the current route that I am of doing it independently and using creative ways out of the box to actually sell and get the book out there and create visibility about it?
So it really depends why you wrote the book in the first place. So let me make an example, Tabis, and please unmute yourself so that we can engage. So I wrote my book because I was repeating myself over and over on the same issue. That is objective number one. Objective number two, so this was gonna save me time. When I don't wanna deal with the client or the client does not fit my typical customer profile, I can then refer them to a book. Number two, I also wanted to position myself as an accountant who is an entrepreneur who will share this in from the expert. I wanted to position myself that way so that I will be seen as the only person basically in finance who focuses on entrepreneurship, finance, or finance entrepreneurship. So, and therefore, because I had analyzed the market when it comes to my type of product, which is like a self-help, even if you put it as an academia, it's still, the volumes do not justify the volume of the books that you can sell in South Africa, do not justify profitability. It costs way more to produce and and then I have a book. But I still did it because I wanted to substitute and position myself different than other accountants. And I also wanted the book to be a business card than me having a business card. And that is why I wrote the book. What is your why? Because your why then will tell you, and your analysis into your market. Remember, within the books, there's different genre and niches within those genre. So in your genre, really, South African kids in South Africa are watching way too much TV than reading the books. So what is the volume? What are your bestsellers selling at what price? Your bestsellers in your industry. So what I picked up in South Africa for me during the time when I was launching this book, that books relating to gossip, books which are branded by people that have been in the market for a while, were selling more than the books of people like myself who were not well known. I then realized that because I need the reach, I will still send my books to retailers, and it's not just for market, it's just to show, because my book is a self-published book. I needed to make sure that it can match up to the books that are in the market, because Take a Lot and others, they review the products. Especially then, they used to review the product before they take. So I wanted to have my book on the shelf for someone to see that my product is got a quality information. And that's the reason why I then ended up going with exclusive books and others in selling my book. It was purely for branding purpose, because I knew in South African book business, you don't make money from the book, you make money from the related services. So I don't know what your objectives are. I don't know in the children's side on books, who's buying the books. I also try to enter the library industry and even TVET colleges to try to see if I can't get my books to be one or even listed in the books. Oh, it was a mountain to climb, you know? So I don't know, but I then decided that I will follow where the market is calling me. I will sell, someone will pay me, and I run my training programs. And then within that, there's a book. So so that I will still make the money from the book. And then people also can share what I've written, that when they Google me, I'm Googleable and so on. So for me, the book was really for branding. It was never to make money. Therefore, I didn't care who has the book at what price. That's why in other instances, I used to even sell my book at 50 Rand, because at least I will recover my cost, or at 100 Rand and so on. But when you see it on the retail, it's 300 Rand or 350. So I didn't mind. So you really need to go back to your objectives. What do you want to achieve by your book? Why did you write this book? If you were to produce just this book, how much is the potential, even if you are the best seller? If it's a flop, what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of your production cost? What does it mean in terms of your marketing skills? Tabi, so does that make sense?
It does, it does. Some of those questions I've been able to answer to myself, but I think there's some that you've raised that I need to go back to the drawing board on. Because the other ways, it's just to get it into as many hands as possible, whilst also making sure that I'm supporting and or contributing to the growth of our, the Black publishers and the Black distributors that I'm currently working with. But I'm working now to market it to book clubs and to schools, as we talked in the previous sessions, to do sales directly to schools. So I'll think about these other ones that I hadn't actually thought of. Thanks, sis.
Okay, great. So yeah, I think the best way I can share is my experience, but based on the questions and how I made my decision, maybe that will guide, and I'm glad that is helping you to, guys, just remember, the more clarity you have about your business, the more you will find the resources that are actually going to help you to move to the next step. Your aim is not to see the whole steps from beginning to the end, but it's just to see the next move. What am I gonna do tomorrow? And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. While we're doing planning, it's important so that you see a bigger picture. But your aim is to say, based on the resources that I have right now, what is my next move? Okay. Boitu is saying, can we drill more on KPIs? Okay, so guys, I have given you KPIs that are covering financial, customer, process, organizational capacity. Have a look at those. Remember, the KPI has to measure the objective. So make sure the objective is aligned to your KPI, and I've provided you few objectives already. So please go through your material. Okay, Itumeleng is sharing something about books and reading. I did mention that before, but I hope that will help. Okay, so within this 4 perspective, really focus on financial performance, focus on customer satisfaction. But if you don't have enough customer, obviously focus on customer acquisition. And then example of KPIs will be a return on investment, operational. I don't like these. I prefer revenue. Operating margin, no. I would just prefer revenue, and I would prefer net profit. So simplify things. Customer acquisition maybe could be the number of customers that we actually get. And it could be also be a number of people that are aware now for our product, which you can use to measure on using different tools on social media. In some processes, again, based on what you have identified you need to improve, you will then align that to the KPI. So using the example that we did, maybe one of the KPI will be in terms of the input is that we actually are having less rejects. That will be one of the things, or the return staff, that could be one of the things. Or even in our processes and our system, we actually have maybe 3 points, checkpoints of quality control kind of thing. Organizational capacity is an innovation, it's knowledge. We've already spoken about that in detail in terms of causes with her. And then you can also have employee retention, or you can also have partners retention that is also acceptable. Remember, it has to match to the objectives and your focus. Okay, great. Okay, guys, it's already 2 hours late. Let me just finish here. Now, entrepreneurs, this is gonna be a 1-page strategy. This, you see, your vision, your mission, your priorities, which is basically also can be themes, but you can also outline the results you want to see. And then here at the bottom, these are your values. And then you have these organizational capacity or learning and growth being linked to internal processes, being linked to customer, and then revenue or financial, but also all of these being measured, and the targets and the initiatives and projects on here. I can't wait to read yours. And guys, I have done few videos on this. Have a look. If you still have questions, send me the questions so that when I do the coaching sessions, I start with those questions to help you to link with these things. Okay, great. That's the end of it. We'll talk about monitoring later. Guys, you also do have this presentation, so. Okay, are there any questions? Do you see how easy the strategy is?
No
Suspicious.
questions from me. Thank you very much for a very fruitful session.
Thank you, Spelele. Guys, remember to sign your register. Okay. Yes, Shoni, go ahead.
Suspicious, thank you so much. You actually really open up my mind, and rattle the cage, my cage. We shy the cage, yeah, to the point that I think on the coaching session I must come prepared, because at the moment I've built a studio where I want to offer some training or classes on designing. So now with all
Hang
what we
on, Shoni. Hang on. What are you doing?
Yes. Okay, I want to open up a training center where I will
Shoni,
be.
hang on. Who are you? What are you doing? Are you a trainer or a designer, a retailer? Who are you in the value chain?
Akira, that's why I wanted to say, well, I'm now confused. That's why on a coaching session, I must come prepared, because now I'm a bit confused now.
You
I'm
don't
really
know who you are. Go
You
back
know what?
to the vision. No.
The problem,
Go back
the
to
problem is, the problem is when I did the training, I did training with some few ladies. And out of those ladies whom I did training with, none of them has managed to be where I am. And I'm forever offering services to them, like advising how to go about the design and stuff like that. So it came about from the conversation with them that, how about you give us training on this, because you are good at it.
But Shoni, what is your business? What is your business?
My business is more on customizing leather bags for my
So then
customers.
why are you not focusing on that?
Okay.
What is stopping you to focus on that?
Nothing, actually. I am doing that, but I was thinking
But
as
now,
an additional.
do you realize you are introducing a whole lot of more complex thing, a service which is in training, which has its own processes and systems? When will you get time? Entrepreneurs, guys, you don't understand. In a business, let me show you something. In one business, you must have a hangover or understanding of all of these. I can't even find the stuff. It's about 15. You must have a hang of, where do you get time to, there you go, 15. When do you get time to do the other thing now, starting another business, when you don't even own a market share of what you are actually doing? Where is your focus? How are you gonna make money? Do you see, guys, here? This is more than 15 things that you must know as a CEO, as a MD. I'm talking about the real CEO here. I'm not talking about the ones that about I'm a director and they have nothing to direct. There is about 15 things that you're gonna need to have a handle on and be on top of. Guess what? If you're gonna add another product, even if you have a skill in it, it will need you to ask yourself, if then I'm gonna look for trainers, that's a different HR model altogether from if I was then just gonna have designers. The office admin is gonna be different. The information technology is gonna be different. Legal and compliance is gonna be different. So is the finance and how you're gonna finance that. Who do you want to be? What do you want to be said about you on your tombstone? What's your vision? Entrepreneurs, stop doing too many things. Look at
Here lies a on my tombstone, it will read, here lies a confused entrepreneur.
You she's not, you know, now that Shoni raised this, I've also dabbled in it a little bit where I did training, but I also realized that it's a complete different, you know, you're taking a complete different route to what
Yes.
you're trying to build. And actually now this,
Guys, if you want to train and help others, no problem. Be a visiting lecturer, then find a local college or trainer and then help them. Review their manual, go and check them out, be an expert, but focus on your trade. Boy, to Ungzwil, Pamela is, I think Pamela hears this. Boy, to Uyas, you are on, but we can't hear you. I think maybe it's the network, boy. You want to move a little bit, boy, to man.
Mina sis Precious ngiyakuzwa ne, I hear you loud and clear. But I'm asking myself, do I offer my skills to people who want training? Because these are people who, most of them, they do have this business. They just started in this designing business, a leather making business, but they are struggling.
And but why do you feel obligated to help them?
Imali.
Are you that desperate?
Not really, not really. It's yeah, it's more on
Be
sharing
a
the
contributor. As find another person who's doing the training, be a contributor. That's it.
Okay.
Focus on your core business. Focus on your core business. Why are you in this industry? Is your industry to train, or is your industry to be the best designer of leather goods? What's your vision?
The best design of leather goods.
Yes, then stick with that. If you feel sad about others, then no problem. Come and visit them from time to time. Review their, contribute to their material. Go and run workshop. Train the trainer. Train the people who are training them. And you charge for it, and you move on.
Okay.
Is again, guys,
you
use emotions to make a business decisions. Watch out for that. Watch out for that. You have to analyze decisions that you are making. How much will this bring me into my business? What does that mean in terms of time? What does it mean in terms of my skills? Do I have that capacity and resource? I am saying to you, you don't have capacity because there is close to 15 things that you're supposed to be working on and doing. Okay. I ngizonieka. Okay.
Zigzwile.
Okay.
wow.
Beloved, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We love you. And for today, we are done. Apologies, we started late. Zoom has just responded to me. I tweeted to them. They are following me. So I tweeted direct to them for having not to actually dealing with the Zoom, because it's my account. It's not every Zoom that had a problem. So I'm sure it's going to get sorted. They did agree that there was a glitches earlier. So maybe one of my account was with that. Entrepreneurs, we fail because we don't know enough. We don't fail because of the system. We fail because we don't think through things. We use emotions and our beliefs to actually make us make choices that in most instances are not in the best interest of the business. Remember, we started with compliance with the aim that you're gonna start separating yourself from the business as an investor. Constantly be asking yourself that if someone were to invest in my business, is there value? And how have I created that value? Because maybe we will start really focusing, start creating systems around you, accountability partners to hold you accountable so that you can focus on what you need to do. Building up our businesses, we are going to make a lot of mistakes, especially first generation entrepreneurs. We are going to make a lot of mistakes, but reduce making mistakes by not touching too many things. Only touch things once you have really applied yourself and said, you know what, I've done all that I can. And as I have shared with you before, there are instances where you have the perfect product, but the person you're selling to is not seeing the value. Then sell to somebody else. And that is why it's important to constantly be asking yourself and making sure that the quality control is in place and your systems are in place. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Please watch the videos, watch the YouTube account on strategy. I have a full notes and stuff. Share your questions, share your examples, and so that I can make more examples for your business. Please note, when you look at your SWOT analysis, it's going to tell you what are the things you need to prioritize on your one-page strategy based on the balance scorecard. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Blessings. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.